Azure Migrate requires some VM changes to ensure that VMs can be migrated. If we don't address these requirements now, we could wind up with a VM in Azure that won't boot. The things that we're most concerned about here in our environment are that the volumes on the eventually replicated Azure VM use the same drive letter assignments as the on-prem VM. We also want to make sure that Windows Firewall isn't blocking RDP connections. So to ensure that the Windows volumes on the eventual Azure VM use the same drive letters as the on-prem VM, I need to configure the SAN policy on the on-prem VM as online all. To do this, I'm going to switch over to my on-prem App01 server. And what I've done here is opened up a command prompt on it. What I need to do here to set my SAN policy is type diskpart at the command prompt. Now, once I'm in diskpart, I need to set SAN policy equal to online all. So it's simple enough. SAN policy equals online all. And we can see here diskpart tells me that it was successfully changed. Now, what this actually does is ensure that when the server comes up in the Azure environment, that all of the disks are mounted and they're mounted with the same drive letters that they have right now. Now, I also want to make sure that remote desktop is enabled and that Windows Firewall isn't going to block RDP access. So what I'll do here is I'll minimize this, go to local server here, and we can see remote desktop is currently disabled. So what we'll do here is we'll enable it. And then from a firewall perspective, you can do one of two things. You can configure firewall to allow RDP, or what I'm going to do here is disable Windows Firewall. I know the security guys out there are going to have a bird by me telling you this, but we're going to turn this off for simplicity's sake. Now, this is going to ensure that I don't have any RDP issues trying to RDP to my VM and then having those issues come over into Azure. So at this point, I can begin replicating my App01 server into Azure, and we'll do that in the next lesson.